I think I may have mentioned a few 100,000 times in the past that there are two ways to defeat the Arnoid droid. You can either dump him in the gears here, or you can lure him under this overhang and let these pod things eat him. If you let the pods eat him, you're supposed to use the ORAD on a stick you can buy from Faster to retrieve his invisibility belt. But here's the thing, you can actually use the pole you get on Ortega to get the belt. So let's say for some reason, instead of just going back to Faster's shop and getting the obvious item, I don't know, maybe you don't have enough Buckasoids because you sold the gem for less than optimal price and you spent it all playing Astro Chicken, I don't know. But you can actually hop in the aluminum mallard, fly off to Ortega, and provided you have the thermal weave underwear, get the pole, and then come back to Fleep Hut and get the belt that way. But there's a catch. If you're relying on the pole to get the belt, then you'd better head back to Fleep Hut as soon as you've picked up the pole, because if you go all the way up and drop the detonator into the shield generator, then that crevice in the rock will have formed, and you have to use the pole to jump across it, and you will lose that pole for good in the process. But here's a cool little thing I found out when I was capturing footage for this. You know how the game will tell you need to stand in a certain spot to do something? Like if you try to pick up the belt with the ORAD on a stick, you'll be told to stand in a very specific spot, but you'll notice there's a bit of a leeway. Roger just sort of moves into position to do it quite right when you stand in sort of almost the correct spot. So if you try to pick the belt up with the pole from Ortega, well, this works. How about from over here? Okay, how about from way over here? Okay, that's too far. But here? Yeah, okay, that works. Now what's really amazing about this is that Roger seems to be able to find his way around obstacles to get into the spot he needs to be in, but if you try to use the mouse cursor to move him around, then whenever he comes up against something blocking his path, he'll just stop dead in his tracks. In fact, later Sierra games would proudly list this ability to walk around obstacles as a new and exciting feature. So what this tells me is that there is some rudimentary pathfinding in the game, they just didn't put it into the mouse cursor controls. Maybe because Roger occasionally does this weird little moonwalk when he finds his way over to where he's supposed to be, but hey, anyway.